There is a peculiar kind of silence that falls over a landscape when we stop moving, when we simply stand still and listen to the world around us. It is in these quiet moments, between the rushing of our daily lives and the stillness of the night, that we might find ourselves reflecting on where we are, and perhaps who we are. Tonight, I invite you to drift with me into a collection of stories that are as gentle as they are strange. True tales that touch upon the curious nature of the human experience. We are going to explore the theme of being lost and the even more profound experience of being found. But these are not stories of danger or fear. Rather, they are stories of irony, of confusion, and of the somewhat humorous realization that sometimes the thing we are searching for is closer than we could ever imagine. We are exploring the curious phenomenon of people who, through a series of gentle misunderstandings, ended up joining the search parties looking for themselves. Let your breath slow down as we imagine the setting for our first journey. Picture, if you will, the vast, rugged beauty of Iceland. It is a land of contrasts, where ancient glaciers sit atop sleeping volcanoes, and the earth itself seems to breathe with a primal energy. The air here is crisp and clean, carrying the scent of moss and cold stone. Imagine a tour bus winding its way through this breathtaking scenery. It is the height of summer, when the sun barely dips below the horizon, casting a perpetual golden twilight across the volcanic canyons. The passengers are weary but happy, their eyes filled with the majesty of the Eldgjá Canyon, a place of dramatic cliffs and sweeping vistas. The bus comes to a gentle halt near the canyon. It is a scheduled stop, a moment for everyone to stretch their legs and take in the immensity of nature. Among the passengers is a woman. Let us simply call her a traveler. She steps off the bus, feeling the cool wind against her skin. She decides she wants to freshen up, perhaps change her clothes to be more comfortable for the walk ahead. And so, she steps away, finding a private moment to change from her current attire into something fresh. She returns to the bus, looking different, feeling refreshed. But when she returns, the atmosphere has shifted. There is a murmur of concern among her fellow travelers. The guide is counting heads, looking at a list, looking at the empty seat where the woman had been sitting just moments before. The description goes out. They are looking for a woman in specific clothes, the clothes she was wearing just minutes ago, but she is no longer wearing them. She hears the description, and she too feels a pang of concern. A fellow traveler is missing. A woman is lost in this vast volcanic wilderness. Without hesitation, she offers her help. The police are called, search and rescue teams are notified, but in the meantime, the passengers form a line, a human chain stretching across the Icelandic moss. Imagine the scene, the quiet camaraderie of strangers united by a common purpose. They walk slowly, scanning the horizon. Our traveler walks with them. She calls out, searching for the lost woman. She looks behind rocks. She scans the distant ridges. The sun hangs low in the sky, bathing the search party in a soft, amber glow. For hours, this continues. The search goes on deep into the night, which, in an Icelandic summer, is merely a softer version of the day. The Coast Guard is preparing a helicopter. 50 people are combing the landscape, and all the while, the woman they are looking for is right there, in the middle of the line, looking for herself. There is something deeply poetic about this image. It speaks to how easily we can become separated from our own identity in the eyes of others, simply by changing our outer appearance. It reminds us that we are often defined by what we wear or where we sit, rather than who we are. It wasn't until nearly 3 in the morning, when the search was winding down, that the realization dawned. Perhaps a question was asked, or a name was mentioned. The realization rippled through the group, not with anger, but with relief, and likely a sense of profound surrealism. The missing woman had been safe the entire time, held within the safety of the group that sought her. Let the image of that volcanic canyon fade gently from your mind, dissolving like mist in the morning sun. Let us travel now, across the seas, to a different landscape. We find ourselves in the lush green forests of Turkey. It is a different kind of beauty here. The trees are tall and dense, their leaves creating a canopy that filters the moonlight into soft, dappled patterns on the forest floor. The air is warmer here, smelling of pine needles and damp earth. It is a pleasant evening, the kind where friends gather to enjoy each other's company. In a small town near the forest, a man named Beyhan is spending time with his friends. The hours pass comfortably, filled with conversation and laughter. As the night deepens, Beyhan decides to wander off into the woods, perhaps seeking a moment of solitude, or perhaps simply losing his way in the labyrinth of trees. Time passes. His friends, noticing his absence, become concerned. They call out his name, but the forest absorbs their voices. Worried for his safety, they contact the authorities. Soon, a search party is organized. Villagers, police, and volunteers gather with flashlights, their beams cutting through the darkness of the woods. Beyhan, meanwhile, has found his way back toward the commotion. He sees the lights. He hears the voices. He sees a group of people moving with purpose through the underbrush. Being a helpful soul, and perhaps a bit confused by the activity, he decides to join them. He falls into step with the searchers. He walks alongside them, navigating the roots and stones of the forest path. He asks his neighbor, "Who are we looking for?" The neighbor replies that a man has gone missing in the woods, a man named Beyhan. For a while, Beyhan walks on, caught up in the momentum of the group. He is part of the collective effort, a single drop in a river of people moving through the trees. The flashlight beams sweep back and forth, illuminating the trunks of ancient oaks and the swaying ferns. Then, the searchers begin to call out his name in unison. "Beyhan! Beyhan!" The name echoes through the valley, and here, in the quiet dark of the forest, a voice speaks up from within the group. "I am here," Beyhan says. One can only imagine the silence that must have followed. The flashlights turning toward him, the confusion, followed by the dawn of understanding. The man they sought was walking beside them, sharing their burden, looking for the very person he was. There is a gentle wisdom in this story. How often do we search outside ourselves for something that is already within us? We look for peace, we look for happiness, we look for a sense of home, often traveling great distances and expending great effort, only to find that we have carried it with us all along. Let your mind rest on this thought for a moment. The idea of the self, not as a fixed point, but as something fluid. In the darkness of the forest, Beyhan was just a searcher. He was defined by his action, by his helpfulness, until his name was called, and he remembered who he was supposed to be. Let us drift further now, letting the forests of Turkey fade into the velvet darkness behind your closed eyelids. We move to a more abstract place, a space of contemplation. These stories, while amusing, touch on a universal feeling. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you were there? Have you ever looked at an old photograph of yourself and felt like you were looking at a stranger? We are constantly changing, constantly shedding old versions of ourselves, like the traveler in Iceland changing her clothes. Sometimes We get so caught up in the search, in the doing, in the moving forward, that we forget to check if we have already arrived. We become so focused on the horizon that we miss the ground beneath our feet. There is another story, less specific in its details, but echoed in various forms across the world. It tells of a person in a crowded market or a busy festival. They become separated from their group. A frantic announcement is made over a loudspeaker. We are looking for a child or a parent wearing a red coat. And the person in the red coat stands there, listening to the announcement, scanning the crowd for someone in a red coat, completely forgetting that they are the one wearing it. It is a harmless lapse, a momentary drift of awareness. But it shows us how deeply we can project our attention outward, leaving our own center behind. Imagine now a quiet river at dusk. The water is smooth as glass, reflecting the indigo sky and the first few stars that are beginning to blink into existence. The water flows slowly, carrying fallen leaves gently downstream. Think of these search parties we have spoken of, the line of people walking through the moss, the flashlights in the forest. They represent our connections to one another. Even when we are lost, even when we don't realize we are lost, there are people willing to walk into the night to find us. There is a comfort in that, a profound sense of safety. Even if the search is unnecessary, the act of searching is an act of love. It is a declaration that every individual matters, that no one is left behind, even if the person they are looking for is right there in the line, helping them look. As we continue to relax, let's return to the image of the traveler in Iceland. Imagine the moment the misunderstanding was cleared up. The relief, the laughter that surely followed, the tension leaving the shoulders of 50 people. The bus ride back to the hotel must have been filled with a different kind of energy, a shared story, a bond formed in the absurdity of the situation. The landscape outside the bus window would have been the same. The rolling hills, the steam rising from the geothermal vents, the distant glaciers glowing blue in the twilight. But the way they saw it would have changed. The world feels a little warmer, a little smaller, when we realize we are all just wandering through it together, sometimes getting lost, sometimes finding ourselves. And what of Beyhan in the forest? After the revelation, the walk back to the village would have been one of peace. The woods, once a place of potential danger and mystery, became just a collection of trees again. The path home was clear. He wasn't a missing person anymore. He was just a man walking home with his neighbors. These stories invite us to stop searching so hard, to put down the binoculars, to turn off the flashlight, and simply be. We spend so much of our lives looking for things. We look for keys, we look for answers, we look for validation. We join the search party of our own lives, marching dutifully along, scanning the horizon for a sign of who we should be. But perhaps, in this quiet moment of relaxation, you can realize that you don't need to be found. You are not missing. You are right here. You are the observer and the observed. You are the seeker and the found. Feel the weight of your body resting. Feel the gentle rhythm of your breath. Like the tide coming in and going out, it is constant, reliable. You don't need to search for your next breath. It comes to you. It is a gift, given freely, moment after moment. As we near the end of our journey together, let us take one last look at these landscapes we have visited. The volcanic stillness of the north, the whispering forests of the east, the quiet river of your own mind. Imagine that you are stepping out of the search line. You are waving goodbye to the other searchers. You are sitting down on a soft patch of grass or a smooth stone, warm from the sun. You are watching the clouds drift by overhead. There is nowhere else you need to be. There is no one else you need to find. The circle is closed. The journey is complete. Let the silence of the landscape wrap around you like a warm blanket. The stars are out now, brilliant and clear. They do not search for their place in the sky. They simply burn, bright and steady. You are safe. You are present. You are whole. As the final images fade, carry with you this gentle reminder. If you ever feel lost, if you ever feel like you are wandering in a fog, pause. Look at your own hands. Feel your own heart beating. You might just find that you have been with yourself the whole time, waiting patiently to be noticed. Rest now in this awareness. The search is over. All is well. Drifting into the quiet, into the peace, into the deep, restful stillness of being found.